I'm Bill.
And I'm Candace. And we're the Disruptors.
Today on The Disruptors, we have a special series of interviews of local authors, writers, and entrepreneurs that have a special message for us. And Candace and I were really excited with our first interview. I had the opportunity to talk to a gentleman by the name of Simon. He's a motivational speaker and author, and he brings with him a special message of positive goal setting for children. Now, by telephone, here's our interview with Simon.
Hey, everyone. My name is Simon Calcavecchia. I am an author, a motivational speaker, and I also am a disability awareness advocate. At a young age, I'll just get straight to the point so you know a little bit more about my life, in that at 19 years old, I ended up breaking my neck when I was playing rugby in Australia. I left the Seattle area, Olympia to be specific, at 19 years old, and went to follow a different dream and ended up breaking my neck in a game. That obviously changed my life forever. I now have C5-6 quadriplegia, and in a long, unique journey, I have discovered an author waiting to blossom. And I eventually became an author after spending a decade volunteering with kids in preschool classes and elementary schools, and finding a real connection with kids, which inspired me to create a children's book to share my stories of what it's like to use a wheelchair and represent those differences that kids don't often see in children's books.
I took a look at one of your books. It was very interesting. And I liked the way that the graphics, and I liked the way that it was worded. And I think that you're opening up a whole new world. Even if you have a handicap, you can still dream, and you can still make things go.
Absolutely. And one of the coolest parts about what I do, or what I used to do, is that I have been able to go to schools. I've been to about 150 schools and spoken to, I think, well over 100,000 kids, and shared my story to inspire them and to get them to think about differences and treating people with kindness no matter the difference. And being able to take the tragedy in my life and to turn it into something so positive and have that positive impact on kids has just been an incredible journey.
Well, let's take you back a little bit into the journey. Now, after you unfortunately had this accident, what was it like? What was it like knowing that from being very athletical, now that you have these disabilities? How did you come out of that?
When I first became injured, I was in Australia and I was in the hospitals. Thankfully, I had a ton of support from my teammates and all the friends that I had made in the short amount of time that I was there. I was there for about 3 months, 2 months before my injury, and then a month in the hospital. And I was able to the situation and focus on the positive in my life, and focused on the things that I believed were possible, like walking again. I believed that would be possible. And that alone really helped me keep a positive attitude and deal with the challenge in a way that I was able to accept my situation and be able to focus on the possibilities of the future. That really helped me do what I needed to do to come out of a life-changing event like becoming paralyzed from the chest down. I have C5-6 quadriplegia. Parts of my arms and my hands are completely paralyzed, and anywhere below my chest line, anything below that is paralyzed. So I went from being fully independent, feeling invincible at 19, to being completely dependent on people in my life to do things like get up, to get dressed, and to bathe myself. It was a life changer, but I was able to stay positive, and thankfully I had a ton of support in my life from my teammates and all the people back in the United States, my friends from high school all calling in to support me when I needed it most. And I've shared this with other people in the past, and I don't think you can experience that kind of love and compassion without going through something so disruptive to someone's life. And I'm really thankful for those experiences because they really helped me grow as a person.
You know, today in this world, there's so many people that need to hear from people with dreams like you have started with your books and how you've moved your career on with these particular drawbacks that you are positively looking at and moving forward. That's quite a message, Simon. I know obviously you love to work with kids and show them that there is positive things. What got you started on writing books?
Well, there's a couple things that factor in. Fortunately, I ended up working on this big art project where I met the illustrator for the children's book series, the one we created, which is The Adventures of Frank and Mustard, which features a wiener dog who uses a wheelchair and his little best bud, Mustard the bird.
Mustard the bird.
Cute as a button. And what really started it was spending all that time with kids, thinking about potentially making a children's book in my future. I didn't know how it would happen, but I knew that it was something I wanted to pursue at some point. And after meeting the illustrator, I actually ended up meeting him 2 years before I even knew he had the capability of being a children's book illustrator. And we met and became really good friends. And one night we were sitting around the table and he showed me a doodle of a cartoon character. When I saw it, I realized that it was time to pursue that dream that had just been waiting to come out. And when I saw that picture, I told him about my dream, and he said he'd never thought about being a children's book illustrator before, but he was ready for the challenge. And we started working on our first book called Stuck in the Mud, based on a true story about when I got stuck in the mud in my wheelchair.
I see. So Mustard, the little bird, and the dog then have a relationship, and the dog is actually kind of a reflection of what you've gone through in your life.
Exactly. And it's a way for me to share my stories with kids, because the other side of where the inspiration came from was being in the classroom and reading a lot of different books to children, thinking about what my book might be like, and noticing that there weren't any books in the classroom that had a character using a wheelchair. There weren't very many books that represented any kind of diversity in the classroom. And I spent time in all kinds of different classrooms, in elementary schools and in preschools. That's what really brought it all together and inspired me to create the series that we now have with Frank and Mustard.
How many books do you have out at the current time?
I have 5 books. I have a book that just came out called Monster Truckin', which is about a true story of when I drove a monster truck. It is an epic story, and I am so craving the ability to go out and be at events and be at the schools and share this story with kids, because it talks to them about accessibility and using teamwork to overcome challenges. It's a really fun story that I think the kids are just going to love. Yeah, that's something I've been really excited to get out to the kids. There's also a board book that I have that's a newer edition, and it's called The Colorful Shoes, which is meant for the youngest kids that are just starting to pick up books. And it's a cute little story about my friend who created some really colorful shoes for me. He painted them, and they're really invaluable to me, and I want to share his stories with that book.
As you put these stories together, you create these characters, then I would assume you go around to the schools and actually read to the kids and chat with the children about what disabilities are like and how the world is really not a stopping point that you can charge forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are so many stories from kids that I've been sent, or been emailed where either the parents or the kids express how inspired they are by my own personal journey and how I've overcome the challenges in my life.
Those must be wonderful letters.
Yeah, they are. They're just so meaningful to me, and to be able to have an impact on those kids is just made my life so just amazing to be able to pursue what I get to do with my life. I really am grateful for my career and for the impact that I get to have on kids and adults.
Well, let's talk about your new book, Where's Waldo? This ought to be very interesting. Can you give us kind of an idea of what the new book is going to be like?
Yeah, so Arturo, the illustrator, and I have started the process of making a new book. And we had this idea with the help of my caregiver, actually. He mentioned, hey, you should make a Where's Waldo book in the theme of Frank and Mustard. I thought, wow, that's a really good idea. And I started to add on to it. And I thought, this is a great opportunity to use something like a Waldo book and create more diversity. Get kids seeing more characters using wheelchairs and having them look for them in the book. I think that'll be really exciting. And I love Arturo's illustrations. I think he's the perfect guy to make a book that's similar to Waldo, and to bring that book and make it more current, and to bring it into the 2020s, and to be able to really make that new and exciting, but have a new meaning along with it. I'm really excited about it, and we've started this GoFundMe project. Under the project is called Help Frank and Mustard Keep on Rolling, because that's exactly what we're trying to do. And we are accepting donations, big or small, and you can actually have a character made and put into the book. We are accepting donations to be able to keep the business going and to be able to keep the books coming out. And the way we are doing that is by creating characters in honor of the people that donate. So it's really exciting. We've had a lot of fun with it already, and people are thrilled with the characters that are being created.
That is a wonderful idea. And I saw a couple of the characters, and I thought, this is kind of interesting.
It's really cool. And people are going to really take special pride in being in the books and being a character in a situation where we really need help. And we need help with finances, and because a lot of what we've done in the past have been direct sales, going to events, going to schools, and all that has really collapsed. And so now we have a way to receive the support and create something really meaningful for the people that support what we're doing.
It's always a gift to be able to give back to the community. Do you have a email address or something like that, Simon, that people can get?
Yeah, absolutely.
Some information
Anyone
from?
Can. Yeah, you can email me at frankandmustard@gmail.com. If you're not big on email, you can always visit the website. That's a little easier, frankandmustard.com. So either of those would be a great way to reach out to me, and would love to connect with anyone interested. And when things get back to normal, I love to speak wherever I can. I love to go to schools. So please keep me in mind for those opportunities.
We sure will. And we want to have you back on the podcast again, Simon, and chat with you again to see how things are going. I really appreciate you coming on today with us. So what we're going to do now is say thank you so much for what you're doing. You're a real pleasure to talk with. And whenever you have the opportunity or have something special, please let us know so we can get it out for you.
Fantastic, William. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate your support over the last few months. I know that we've tried to connect and our schedules weren't matching up, but I'm glad we've been able to make it work. So thank you so much for your efforts.
I'd like to thank Simon for coming on to our podcast with us today and to talk about disabilities and how we can overcome them, set goals for a better life. For more information on Frank and Mustard,